Hey everyone, in this video I'll be showing you what I think to be the most overpowered cheese build in Code Vein 2. This build lets you just take on any boss in the game, apply the Venom status here, and do insane amounts of damage. Now, the best part about this build is you can stay out of the fights really easily by using this movement ability here, which lets you jump backwards. And honestly, we have some pretty solid damage from rifles here, and you can see they have these tracking orbs that are just super powerful at destroying bosses. I also like the grenade launcher, so we'll be covering all the best weapons here to get the most out of this build, as honestly, it's quite powerful. And the crazy part is this build is extremely strong at the start of the game and at the end. But first, I think it's important to talk about our weapon selection, because there's a lot of great bayonets out there. With one you can get at the very start of the game with the Silvershot. And the best part is you can get this at the very start of the game at Jadwiga's minion right here before you leave the island. The other weapon I want to mention is the grenade launcher. This one is actually pretty easy to get once you get a little bit past Jose. It's at the very top here, Jadwiga's minion up here, and I would highly recommend running to grab this one. It only holds 3 rounds, but those grenades pack a punch. Now, personally, I really like the Raider's Bayonet here. This has really good scaling. You can get a quick dodge off with Haley's Blood Code here. And it has these interesting pellets, which you can see. So whenever you shoot, they pause for a second, and then they home in on the enemy. Why this is so important is that there's a lot of enemies that run around and move really quickly. This will give you a chance to be able to hit them easier. Once you get to the late game, the Resurgent Flame Bayonet is kind of interesting. It's not like amazing by any means, because this beam does take quite some time to shoot, but it looks cool. And the Alfheim weapon here you can actually get relatively early on too, and it has good stats with not a high burden. It also shoots a beam, but I find this one comes out a little bit quicker. And finally, the Burning Disaster is another one that I don't mind using. It has Flame Weapon built in and Severing Abyss, which is honestly quite solid. It has these fire grenades that it shoots, which I think is pretty fun. Although the stats are really hard for this one to be able to get a quick dodge with Strength and Mind. But as mentioned, Silvershot's great because it has a very low stat requirement and burden of 6 strength, 7 dexterity. This one's best on a strength dex build I'll get to in a moment. I'm a huge fan of Raider's Bayonet because Holly's Blood Code works perfectly with this weapon. It has an A+ scaling in dexterity, B+ in willpower, which you can see here. We have 27 dex, 29 willpower, making us have quite a bit of damage. And its requirements are low with only 10 dex requirement and 8 willpower for the burden, so we can get that quick dodge. And as mentioned, the Burning Disaster is great if you want to run a Strength Mind build, but that is a little bit less common than some of the other archetypes here, where I think that the Raider's Bayonet, Silvershot, and Grenade Launcher end up being best. The Grenade Launcher is more so a Strength Dex build, so if you got Xenon's Blood Code, it works perfectly. But I'm first going to show you builds for Raider's Bayonet, because as I mentioned, Holly's Blood Code is so great with this one. Giving us a dexterity score, you do need to use a boost to be able to get the quick dodge off, but at this point in the game, if you're in the midpoint, you're going to have that. It's one of the quicker and easier ones to get, and also has very high willpower stat. You can get by with Holly's Blood Code 1 if you have a less upgraded weapon. Lavinia's Blood Code also works very well for this weapon because it has also high stats where you want them, but this one's more skilled up for willpower and mind. And for this, you'd have to use boosters to be able to get that quick dodge if you wanted it. The quick dodge is really good in this game. Now, if you wanted to use the Silvershot, Lou's Blood Code is best here because this has actually perfect distribution of our stats here so that we can get our mind and willpower stats high enough to be able to afford this and also get that quick dodge off. And with this, we're going to have that mind merge in 10 and 14. So our attack power will get boosted after we do a drain attack or a critical attack, and you get your guard stamina cost down. Although I find that the quick dodge is much better, this is an option. And as mentioned, Xenon's Bloodline, once you get to the later portion of the game, is another very solid one. Having the stats to be able to give you that quick dodge, because if you have no conditions, he'll distribute your burden among Strength Dexterity, Mind Willpower, and Vitality Fortitude, which means that these get spread down, and it makes it a lot easier to use a lot of weapons. So Xenon's Bloodline is amazing in that regard. And since we have the Strength and Dexterity margin of 8, this means that our Ichor cost when our LP is depleted gets reduced by 1, meaning that our 3 action point cost skills will have 2 costs, which is actually kind of crazy. And also attack and defense is up in Sunny Weather. I love Xenon's Blood Code. It is such a powerful one. And if you're going to use the grenade launcher, the reason I'm showing 3 of these, we have a shotgun shell, we got a grenade launcher, and my favorite is the Raider's Bayonet, which uses rifle bullets, but they shoot really quick and actually have almost the same amount of damage as a grenade launcher. And if you want that grenade launcher to work, the one thing you will have to swap is if you're using a plus dexterity, a plus strength will be the swap there so that we can still continue to use the Xenon Blood Code and get that quick dodge. But Lou's Bloodline works great here as well, due to the stats being distributed very well. But if you want to use the Xenon Blood Code, you may need that strength boost to get that margin underneath so you get that quick dodge. This again is taking that dexterity and strength and splitting them between each other. Which is funny because it actually just barely squeaks our strength under the board because I have some boosters on that is going to boost these up. So yeah, we actually are just fine. But in my opinion, the true strongest is the Raider Bayonet with the Lavinia Blood Code. Pardon me, Holly Blood Code. You get a slight bit more damage out of this, but less survivability. Lavinia's Blood Code is good if you want that extra bit of survivability. And Lavinia's is actually a little bit better in the regard that you're actually going to apply your statuses quicker, which is great because Venom is so powerful in this game. Our offensive Formae is important here because Blood Reaver Blade is just super powerful because you can basically one-shot enemies with this. There is a bit of a skill aspect to this because you do have to actually time it. So when you pull it out, it's going to flash once and flash a second time. You release it there. You do an enhanced attack that can do insane amounts of damage. So yeah, this was one you want to use, but with the gun, we don't always want to be in close range. And for that reason, our defensive Formae is also going to be one that has a low requirement. You can go with like the Vanishing Hollow Light or Bleeding Shield. These don't require you to have a very high static requirement. You can see there, our mind is only a 4. You could just put the easiest shield on, not shield at all, because when you have a quick dodge, you don't really need to use your shield because it's very generous in this game. And with our bayonet giving us crazy mobility, you're not going to need to shield too much. But I feel like parrying the Mutinous Bracer works, and you could potentially just use a shield if you wanted. Our jail is definitely going to be Bat. It's so overpowered because it gives us a range attack that jumps backwards and gets us our Ichor back so we can continue to keep casting skills. This is something that I would recommend having. The Ogre is fast for how it comes out. Stinger's nice too at times, and even Reaper can be good for the parry, but unless you really love those, use Bat. And for our boosters, if you haven't gotten to the point where you can do Holly's requests, I would highly recommend doing both Holly's requests. The first one, you're going to get an additional booster slot, and if you finish her 4 other requests, which are pretty easy, honestly, you'll get this additional one here. So with this, I like to get the willpower boost. I'm using a dexterity boost to get the quick dodge on this one. Just be mindful if you're using the +5 boost that they do cause your strength and willpower or other stats to increase. I also have the +2 dexterity here just for a bit more damage. I also have this one, the steadfast stance, which is insanely powerful if you can get this. Basically, it'll take you down to 1 health point if you get attacked, and you won't drop. You'll think that you've went down, but it keeps you alive with just a sliver of health, which is actually really important. It's super useful, and you can't have an overburden if you want to use this. Highly recommend it. I also like to have these stamina increasers. These are just nice for the extra movement that you get. And honestly, you can put both of these stamina recovery speed up as well. Because you don't really need the willpower one that I mentioned earlier, and I don't mind using Stamina Maximizer Duo, and Second Wind for stamina recovery speed up. This just gives you so much extra movement, which is nice to have on the bayonet. And for our weapon Formae, this is where things get insane, guys, because Blade Dance actually works on this weapon. Blade Dance is insane because if you keep attacking an enemy, you can get upwards of a 50% boost to our damage. Ranged Impact also gives us an increase to our damage. Pair these together for insane damage. We also want to have Heavenly Strike. This is also pretty crazy for the damage because it's a multi-hit attack, doing twice as much damage as our drawback shot. And what's great about that is it's going to stack up Blade Dance and deal extra damage from both of these. So 5 Ichor to set up, 5 Ichor to do insane damage. You want to spam this whenever the boss is stationary and use drawback shot to get away. However, if you don't like to use Blade Dance because it does require a slight bit of setup, Venom Mark is also really good. You can also put the Venom on your weapon, which is really strong. Venom in this game is crazy, and we want to use it. Alternatively, you can use the item shortcut and just throw the poisonous weapon solve on there, as it's pretty easy to craft in this game. You can do a lot of synthesis and get those. I'd also recommend an Ichor supplement alongside that, since we sometimes just want to be casting with our ranged weapon. So whenever you see something you want to fight, you can buff up by putting the Venom on your weapon, use your buff, use your other buff, and then just start piling away with this attack here. Now you can see that they're getting pretty blasted by it. We actually missed them the first time, but yeah, you're going to see the damage from this is pretty insane. And since we have the Blade Dancer there, we're actually getting our damage boosted up. The gunshots are quite powerful, so don't be afraid to use those. But we typically want to be keeping a distance from the enemy until we need to go in to use our Bat Jail here. The nice thing about the Jail Bat there is you can actually use that from range. It's best to be used if the teammate's aggroing the enemy, but we want to save it there for that red flash that occurs, because then you're going to get the most amount back. You can also use your melee attack here. It's still going to be strong because it's a weapon. It's meant to be hit against the boss. That's a good way to get your blood back. But you can cheese a lot of bosses just by staying away from them and using the drawback shot just to keep out of range of their aggro. So that is something to keep in mind, that you do have so many good options for damage. I just got hit there. It's really silly, but yeah, we just finished them off with the rounds there. It almost feels unfair sometimes to use the shots because they just do so much damage and they scale up really well. So you saw we got that first shot for 13. After using our buff, that turns it to 18, and then using the Blade Dancer, our next shot did 2,000 damage. So that's what I'm talking about. Using both of these together gives us insane damage on our weapon. As mentioned, this is a bit Ichor hungry, but you do have those ranged shots that you can weave into your attacks. If using grenade launcher, I'd honestly recommend not using the grenades too much because you only do 3 per round. But you can see here, solid damage. It sets up our blade dance, and it's just a reliable way to be able to hurt the enemy a bit. I would recommend using Noah as your assistant here because or your partner, because he's great for drawing aggro when he wants to attack a boss, which he doesn't want to right now. Typically, the choice whenever you're playing a bayonet, if you want to cheese enemies, it's just play defensively with it for the most part. You can get your attacks in here and there, but you honestly want to be spamming your jail whenever you can. It will do a bit of damage over time. You do have to be in a close enough range that boss is backpedaling and it got missed there. But yeah, our jail is just going to be super important for this because of our draining Ichor. If you got Lose Blood as a partner too, she can make it so that if you get hit, you're able to get your damage back, or you're able to get your Ichor back, which is really nice. But you basically always want to have these buffs active at all times. Oh, that was a pretty bad one. I was trying to get the sky attack off because it's just super powerful, as you can see there. One of those there actually hit it. Yeah, insane amounts of damage. If I had time to do a reload, I would like to do that. But yeah, we finished the job there. But yeah, you can fire your gun at any time. It's actually insane amounts of damage, especially if you buff it up with your different abilities. And you can check the bottom of your screen to see if you have those abilities active, because you always want to have them going. But that is a overpowered cheese build for the Bayonet in Code Vein 2. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the subscribe button below if you enjoyed. And I hope you guys all have an amazing day.